You ready for Sons of Anarchy? Well, we are pleased to have the people who make it all happen here with us today. So it is now my pleasure to welcome our outstanding cast and producers. He plays Wayne Unser. Please welcome Dave Kelly. He plays Chip Telford. Please welcome Tommy Flanagan. He plays Bobby Munson. Please welcome Boone, Mark Boone Jr. He plays the role of Juice Ortiz. Please welcome Theo Rossi. He plays Dick Traeger. Please welcome Tim Coates. She plays Sarah Knowles Teller. Please welcome Maggie Siff. He plays Slade World. Please welcome Ron Perlman. She plays Gemma Teller-Moro. Please welcome Katie Savoy. He is the president of Sam Crow. He plays Jack Teller. Please welcome Charlie Hummel. He is the executive producer and director of Sons of Anarchy. Please welcome Paris Barkley. He is the creator, executive producer, and showrunner of Sons of Anarchy. Please welcome Eric Starr. Our moderator today is journalist and author Mike Fleming Jr. Mike is the film editor of Deadline.com and is widely regarded as the top reporter covering film in the industry. He joined Deadline in January of 2010 after 20 years of Variety. The native New Yorker has also written for Playboy, Details, TV Guide, and Esquire. You can follow him on Twitter at Deadline Mike. Please welcome Mike Fleming.
Thank you very much. Wow, what a crowd in Hall H. I'd like to say this is the last panel, and I would say you saved the best for last. All right, I want to get right into it, and I've got a question for Kurt that has the same level of subtlety as that clip we just saw. Kurt, we just came through a season where we lost some lovable characters on this show. By next Comic-Con, will all these people on this stage have reason to be here next year?
Yeah. Oh. I can't. Not sure.
Well, now, you said the show is going to finish its run after 7 seasons. But you go to season 6 after getting the highest ratings of any show ever on FX. Clearly, the Sons of Anarchy have not overstayed their welcome. And what's your hurry? And is there time enough for you to bring this story to the conclusion you always thought it should have?
Yeah, correct. I think we've really created these characters and narratives that have been very organic to the world, and I feel like we're sort of running towards this finish. And my goal is to be able to tell the story I want to do. What I never wanted to do was sort of overstay our welcome in terms of having it remain organic and believable. And the writers, we throw up these stories on the board and we look at all these relationships and over the last 5 seasons, and at a certain point, the shit just has to hit the fan, and for it to stay believable and real, I think it ultimately has to find its end game. So, as much as I love doing the show and as much as people enjoy them, I think I'd be doing the mythology a disservice to do it longer than it should be done, if that makes sense.
Well, now, the show's going to call Hammer on Harleys, and have you mapped out the final scene? And do you know how the Shakespearean interacted with Lang?
big pool of blood. I have a sense of what I want the last scene of the show to be. How we're going to get there and what that looks like, I'm not sure. One of the things I've realized in the process of doing the show now, coming into 6 seasons, is that I come into each season with a blueprint of what I want the season to be and what those mile markers are. And the looser I grip those ideas, the better the season is, you know. So I try to let the show sort of have a life of its own and have its own direction and honor that. So even during the course of the season, it'll suddenly go in a direction I hadn't anticipated. And that's the fun part for me, I think for the actors as well. So.
Well, give us a sense, if you can. You mentioned that you were going to be launching a graphic novel, Sons of Anarchy graphic novel. Give us quite a sense of some of the dilemmas and complexities that you're most excited about this upcoming season.
You know, we begin season 6 a few days after season 5, and I think obviously there's a lot of big events that happened at the end of season 5, and they will carry us through into the season. But I think it continues to be Jax's journey in terms of, you know, can he be the leader of this outlaw organization and still, you know, be a loving father and a devoted husband? Can he take the club and lead them into a more legitimate line of work and still be an outlaw organization? You know, in essence, can he have everything that he wants and remain true to, you know, what he is? And a little bit continuing what we began last season, which was, you know, what father is Jax destined to become? Is he destined to become Clay, or is he destined to become JT? And is there something in between those two? You know?
Well, now let's ask Charlie a question about that. By the way, right after Charlie and Ron, if you have not seen on the Pacific Rim, Charlie, now your Jax character started out with ideals that he got from his father, who was unable to pull them off. And at the start of last season, he was writing letters to his own son, and it almost seemed as though, and then he took the club down a very dark path. Does Jax see himself as repeating the same mistakes that his father made, or does he still see a possible righteous outcome for this adventure in this club?
I think he still sees a righteous outcome. I think that he hadn't anticipated quite how difficult it was going to be to lead, partly because of the shit show that he inherited from Clay Morrow. So I think you know, much like you know, many presidents that follow on from their predecessor, it's a difficult transition. But I do, I think, Kurt and I talked a little bit about this notion that, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and I think that's the case with Jax. I think he fell into a little bit of the, the trap of becoming powerful and operating with a little bit too much autonomy and not really listening to his brothers. But I think he's, learning from those mistakes and trying to, mature and find his feet and do things maybe a little bit more democratically this season.
It doesn't seem to be quite as militant as he was before about getting out of the drug running business. Is that still the goal, or is it a necessary evil?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, I think that there's shades of gray. I mean, I think ultimately he needed to get out of guns and out of drugs and eventually out of everything illegal that's going to damage the club and his brothers. But, I think that those things take time, and it's just weighing one evil against the other. And, drugs was a big thing, but also we need to get out of guns. There's a lot on the agenda, I think.
Well, now, I think we all miss Ryan Hurst as old. Charlie, can you explain the psychic hole that is in your character, watching your friend, after Jack's watched his friend die, and how that whole will inform what happens in the upcoming season?
I mean, just doing this show has been the greatest creative experience of my life, my career to date, and that, I think, was the highlight of this experience. It was really, tragic and painful to let go of that character, but it was such a deep creative experience that it was almost worth it for us to be able to share all of that together. And it left a little bit of a hole in me. I always anticipated that it was going to be me and Ryan, Opie and Jack sitting at the head of the table at the end of this thing, and to kind of have that taken away from us was painful, and I think that it's left a big hole in Jack's, that I don't know if we'll ever get filled, but I think that, to begin with, it was a driving force in some of that darkness, but I think, as we've been going through this season so far, he's been trying to let that loss inform him in a more positive way, and try to inspire him the way John Teller does, to turn this club into what it needs to be, so those type of things don't keep happening. But it was an amazing experience, and it kind of through going through the loss with Ryan. Ryan had a really, really hard time saying goodbye to Opie Winston, in the aftermath of the immediate episodes. We shot that episode, we had a great, incredible, deep experience together. And then we went to work the next day, and all of a sudden he was sitting in his apartment, unemployed and not putting on the cut anymore. And after a little while, as a catharsis, he wrote this beautiful essay called The Last Rites of Opie Winston. And he talked just all about the difficulty of transitioning out of this deep experience for him. And he said, a few beautiful parts of that essay. He said that every actor carries around a graveyard of characters that they've had to bring to life and then kill. And that's just part of the business, but it kind of, haunts us a little bit. But Opie Winston was the first character he'd ever played that refused to rest in peace. And he just couldn't kill the son of a bitch. And he said that in an act of desperation, he found himself on Amazon one morning at about 4 o'clock in the morning, looking at character development books. And there was 1,000 books on character development, but not a chapter in any of them how to kill the motherfucker when he was done. I just thought it was beautiful, but it gave me a taste of what I knew was on the horizon for all of us. That at some point we're going to have to say goodbye to these characters, and it's going to be really painful.
Ron, you continue to play through a terrific journey, and you're in a real jam right now. How much?
Because of the shit show.
Yes. How much does Clay think that he can still regain control of the club, and what is his leverage to do that?
I think there was a modicum of that in season 5. He created a plan in the aftermath of this rather cataclysmic event of Opie shooting him, which was going to give, in his mind, was going to give him leverage to maybe take the gavel back, but that exploded in his face. So the rest of season 5 was spent deciding what he could give up in his life and what he couldn't. And the decision as the season wound down was, there was only one thing that was non-negotiable. And then when she betrays him at the end of season 5, he's out of options. He's no longer in a position to bargain. He knows that he's just waiting for the other shoe to drop. So season 6 is him knowing that there are no more leveraging. There's no more leveraging, there are no more maneuverings, there are no more choices. There's just this bounty that's on his head, and he's no longer in control of how many minutes he has left, much less weeks, months, years. I didn't know what that meant until I saw a tweet the other day where Kurt was asked to describe in one word what season 6 was for each of the characters, and for Clay it was redemption. So I'm figuring that's what we're doing this year. I'm not really sure.
Well, that sounds realistic, but after all the outrageous things that Clay has done, from getting taped to trying to kill Opie and taking out his wife, killing Piney, trying to kill Tara, destroying her surgeon hand, it doesn't sound to me as though Clay's going to go down easy. Is that fair to say?
What I'm saying is that he's no longer in a position to make that decision. It's the first time in his life where he's not in a position to have any fight left in him. And because he's worn out all his choices. And he's completely at the mercy of other forces. Very uncomfortable place for Clay to be. That's what I'm saying.
Now, for Katie, there's been a continued struggle for Jax's allegiance between Gemma and Tara. How do you see that dynamic heading into this season? It seems like, for once, Gemma has the upper hand.
Well, it does seem that way, doesn't it? You know, that relationship bounces around a lot. And, you know, as most of the relationships in the show, you know, because it's a family drama, and what I know about families is those relationships bounce around a lot. So, you know, the Gemma and Tara of it all is there is that power struggle, and certain things will intensify in season 6. But I cannot say specifically where that's going. I can just say that, you know, they're both very strong women, and I believe that Tara has had to man up, as we would say, in terms of her circumstance. And, you know, Gemma's motivation is always to get next to her son, you know, to stay close to her son. So I would say, yeah, at the beginning of season 6, she did what he asked. You know, she set up and made all those moves on with Clay that was put on her, and I think she has no regret about it. And so I think she does feel like she's in his good graces for now, and that always makes her happy.
Well, now for Maggie, being on the other side of that, now your Tara opened the show as this admirable doctor who's basically been drawn down this path to hell for the man she loves. And in your mind, how does Tara rationalize this trip? And how much does she worry that she's turning into Gemma?
You know, I've been asked that question a lot recently. How much does she regret her decision to come back, to stay, to love this man? And how much does she realize she's turning into Gemma? I think she's realized that in order to survive in this world, there are certain rules or modes that she needs to live by just in order to survive, and they happen to resemble Gemma deeply. But I think that what's interesting, and what's interesting about the character now is that her methods and her modes pretty deeply resemble Gemma, but what she desires is totally different. So there's this kind of twinning and mirroring, and yet sort of completely divergent desires. And so I think that's the way Tara's managed to remain the Tara that she was at the beginning. And in terms of, you know, regretting coming back, I think once you have children, regret is kind of a moot point, you know, and I think right now she's just really focused on her children and trying to break something that she's come to be very aware of, which is a cycle of violence and sort of horrific catastrophe that is constantly surrounding this life and this family. So I think she's taking a wider view, and she's kind of manning up, as Gemma.
A lot of manning up.
What'd you say?
There's been a lot of manning up.
A lot of manning up, yeah.
Well, now, the scenes that Katie referred to when she betrayed Clay, when her character betrayed Clay, That was some great writing and some great acting. Can you tell us a little bit about what it was like to shoot that level of intensity where your character basically, I mean, it was a pretty shocking betrayal, at least to viewers. Give us a sense, both you and Ron, what it was like to shoot those scenes.
I found the scenes, this is a group of actors that are very easy to work with. Everybody commits and everybody goes there. So there's never a sense of, you feel pretty safe in the environment. So that's one of those scenes that when I read it, I really, it wasn't, it was the subtlety of it. It was the subtlety of the betrayal that was the most important thing to convey, I felt, in the performance. And I was directed in that way. And I felt that, because if you really take it apart, it was only a few moments. It was written so well that actual final read, when he gets it and Juice gets it, and everybody, it was very quick. But the tone was just, as it is on our show, everybody committed. Take after take, everybody commits. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but it was a great scene to play, as so many of them are.
Well, now,
You.
I think what Katie was saying too, with so many of the great scenes on the show, is that so much is said sometimes without saying anything. And I think in that scene, it was all on faces. There wasn't really anything said. It just went from Gemma to Juice to Clay realizing that these two had betrayed him. And I thought sometimes there's so much power in words not being said and just looks. And I think that's why people felt that scene so much. And it was one of my favorite scenes. And there's a lot of scenes in this show that is just registered on the faces, which is just, such a credit to every actor on the stage and the writing and everything. So
There was a harkening to Charlie's beautiful description of Ryan. And I got into this whole, because we kind of get these things one script at a time. We don't quite know where we're going. We know where we're going until we stop going there and start going someplace else. And where I was going was I had already begun this act of redemption. This whole home invasion bullshit scheme of mine exploded in my face. I decided there was no apologies from this. It was just the only thing I could do is change my evil ways and go away and start over with the things that were most important to me, which at the time was just Gemma. So that scene was it was like getting hit in the gut, knowing all the rules were going to change, not just for Clay, but for everything that has happened over the last 5 years. It was devastating. It was, I said earlier, Clay was always somebody who thought he was a great chess player and was always able to see 3 or 4 moves ahead, whatever he was going to do. The betrayal from Gemma was something that was unprocessable and inconceivable to him. And it was a very sad day on the set for me.
Well, now, all the actors up here who wear the Sun's colors, how do you see the allegiance and the hatred between Jackson and Clay panning out? And can this love survive?
Kim.
Bobby Munson knows everything. So he seems to be the only light at the end of the tunnel.
Nobody has any idea what that means. Kim. Again, Kim.
Here's the thing, for Tig, last season, we've seen Charlie become the new president, we've seen my greatest allegiance being Clay, being away from the entire club experience. Bobby reached his patch off at the end of the season. You all saw what happened with my daughter. I mean, it's total mayhem right now. And last season, I used to say that Tig was sort of off the leash. This year, he's back on the leash, and it's the Jack's leash. So it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds, because there's a lot of stuff that is unanswered. There's a lot of things that's happened in the club that there's still secrets being not shared, allegiances still being built and shattered, and it's pretty epic stuff. It really is to play.
Well, now, you know, there are a lot of unpaid debts, karmic debts for some of the characters played by the actors up here. And for Theo, now you're a Jews character, confided his sins in Clay, and then betrayed her. Now the gang doesn't know you informed on them, and that you shot an aspiring club member. Give us a sense of your characters. Does he feel like he got away with this?
Anything else you want to do that? God, made this sound so terrible. You know, I like Katie just said in that moment, what's so fantastic about that moment, you know, on the being instrumental in Clay going to, you know, to jail and basically ending that reign, is that he's being used as this pawn by Jax. But at the end of the day, if you really go through the history of it, you know, there was an allegiance to Jax from the beginning, you know, and Jax is, you know, a tremendous, you know, the reason why he's in the club and all that. But then to find that father figure in Clay, he's just looking to be led, you know, and he wants someone to kind of point him in the right direction, because there are leaders and there are soldiers in this world. He's definitely a soldier. And, you know, how this all affects, you know, Juice is kind of what we come to see in season 6. And I can't say anything because Kurt's really close to me, so I'm not going to say anything. But, you know, at the end of the day, what that thing with Clay going the way it goes is you felt all this hatred towards Clay, you know, these entire 5 seasons, and then there's not one person in this room who didn't feel bad for him when these 2 people turned on him. Because like he said, this master chess player, he didn't see this coming, and I thought that was just such an incredible moment. And now what we have to do is see this whole new regime, you know, these new people in line, in every facet, women and men, of this family that's been created. And we see where everybody falls into their place and what comes with that, whether it be violence or whatever it is. So.
Yeah, I just want to say, I just always think it's interesting, the themes of love and hate are so, you know, prevalent throughout, that you can love someone and hate them at the same time. And, you know, I think that that's a very familial scenario. So I think that we hit on that.
Well, now, a question for Mark. Now, your character, Bobby, you know, has had it with the way that Jax crossed too many ethical lines and taking the club to dark places. You know, I kind of felt like Bobby, especially after Obi, was sort of the last vestige of conscience in this group. What is Bobby's role now going forward?
I can't really tell you that. And I don't think Bobby's going to go down too easy after, you know, this is kind of his life. And throughout this whole thing, he's just kind of holding the club up as much as he can. I think, you know, what else is he going to do?
Well, now, I have a question for Tommy. Now, I noticed that Chips is wearing some BP stripes, and Chips has had his moments in past seasons. But give us a sense of what Chips brings to the table as the vice president and confidant of Jax.
I don't know, maybe some conscience. blind loyalty towards Jackson in a lot of ways. You know, I've always got his back no matter what he does. And, but, can't talk about the fucking bullshit, man.
We can't talk about it. Tommy's like my big brother in real life, so a lot of that dynamic comes into it. Me and Tommy have known each other long before this show and had some adventures together in the past. I've always felt like Tommy's my big brother, and I think that dynamic's been come through a lot this season.
Oh yeah, that plays all the time in these guys, for sure. That plays all the way through the show. Can't be helped. But, yeah, I'm a boring guy, sorry.
I'm up to the great part, man. Now, question for Dayton. Now, we watched your Wayne
Dayton's here? That's awesome.
We watched your character, you know, go from charming lawman to, to a cancer sufferer, all the while pining for Gemma. We're ever going to close that deal or what?
First of all, I thought this microphone was fake and you were going to joke on me. But I have the only microphone that doesn't have a wire on it.
Yeah, we weren't expecting you to say anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Well, I'm sorry you had to wait through all that to get to this. I'm doubted. No, your husband is right there. I'm happy that way.
All right, well, okay, we'll take that as an answer.
Yes, please.
We also have Paris Barkley up here who directs and produces episodes. He's also the president and director. Paris, give us an idea. When you shoot a show like this where there's a lot of action, there's a lot of guys on motorcycles, what it's like, and have there been any situations where some of these guys have left skin on the road?
Yeah, well, when I started the show, I was 15, and look at me now. If you saw that trailer, that teaser trailer they just showed you, and with the people going through the glass and the fire and the fisticuffs, you know that in between 7 and 9 days, depending on the episodes, we put 200 people through a lot of work. So, what we love best about it is every time Kurt delivers a script, I always said, like, here's our bomb. This is the bomb that we've been handed. And now it's our chance to light the fuse and to explode. And sometimes stuff the gunpowder so it gets into the bomb. But every time we do it, it's a joy. And for you guys, we're the first fans. We're the first people who get to see it. We're the first people who go, holy shit, when they see this episode, their brains are going to break. And we love doing it, so I'm just here to represent the fans.
Well, Kurt is going to offer some trivia, but before I do that, Kurt, I noticed that your character, Iowa, seems to lose a body part by every season. So what are we going to see happen off this year?
Well, he's running out of energy. It's I always joke that what's going on with me emotionally on the show is basically what happens to Otto physically on screen. So I think we'll continue down that path this season, and just awful things will keep happening to him. Yeah, we're gonna do a little what we did last year. We're gonna ask some trivia questions and give away some swag bags. But first, I want to do this. And this is actually, I actually feel for the first time feel justified in coming to Comic-Con in that we actually are moving into graphic novels for Sons of Anarchy, and we're working with Boom Studios, which is, you comic folks out there know them. They're a great organization, put out great material, and are we going to be able to show this? This is these are the couple covers and I'm not sure why it's only about big, but apparently it is. But these will be out with the premiere in early September, so you'll be able to get your. And what that will work, this is what we're going to try to do, and we're weighing on the storylines for all that. And what they'll do is they'll sort of run parallel to the show, so that it'll involve our characters to a certain extent, but we're going to bring in new characters, and it'll run, as far as the story goes, it will run sort of alongside of the stories on the show. And I just think it'll be, really this is all about you folks. This is all about you folks loving the show and wanting more. And feeding my background. So, let's do some trivia. Okay, I'm not quite sure how we're going to do this. I guess I just read these, and then do I pick somebody? Is that the plan? Okay.
Pick someone, and if they get it right, please come over here and get the prize.
Don't yell anything out.
Okay, afterwards, we'll have some audience questions.
Here's a tough one. Wow, this is a real fan. I love this one. In season 1, what is the name of Lowell Harlan Jr.'s young son? That's tricky, that's the hard one. Somebody's Googling it. I'm sorry, I didn't give you one second. Bogey. That's it. That was good. What's your name? John. Can you be a little more vague? John Garcia. Awesome, thank you. Next question. True or false? Sam Kerr agrees to support Elliot Oswald in his bid to become mayor of Charming.
You right there?
Yeah, 50% chance of getting it.
Yes.
True?
Who's that? Oh, show someone else. Say true.
That's right. That's too hard. I didn't even know that doesn't make sense. Here's a good one. What are the name, in season 4 was it? What are the names of the drug dealer Vivica's 2 sons?
Right.
That's it. Oh, this is a good one. Which of Jackson's patches remain on his vest after he commits his decision to go nomad? Is it A, Man of Mayhem, B, Vice President, C, Redwood? Which patch remains?
I see somebody way back there got his hand up first, behind the white sign over there, all the way out there. Can you stand up? You know who you are. You're the first person. Yes, you.
A is Man of Mayhem. That's correct. Oh my God. Let me just read this and tell you what the answer is because it's insane. Which is the nickname of Bobby Munson's child by his ex-wife, Precious Ryan? Do you remember this movie? Apparently it was Kiki. I'm sorry, it's so bizarre. Okay, here we go. In season 1, it is revealed that Half-Sack is a former champion boxer at what weight level? Junior lightweight, middleweight, super welterweight.
light is on her.
Be more specific. It was junior lightweight, middleweight, super welterweight. That's it. One more. One more. I'll make it a good one. One left. One bag left. Here's a good one. Which Sorry, I've been drinking all morning. That's not true. Which excommunicated member abandoned Opie during a botched arson prior to the events of season 1?
You got everybody stand up? Gotta stand up, sir.
Kyle. That's it. Kyle, hold on. Look it up.
All right, we have 5 minutes for each questions. So let's see them. Mike's there to the right. Okay?
Hi.
And thank you for making such an intelligent and deep, badass show. My question real quick is are we going to see more of the dynamic before Tara and kicks Gemma's ass?
She wants to see Tara kick Jack's ass.
How do we feel about that, Gemma?
She wants to kick my ass? Well, I can say there'll be some ass kicking. But I can say
It's going to be a very, contentious season between Gemma and Tara, so you'll see a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Mud wrestling. That's all I'll say.
Next.
Hi, my name's Harley. And I was wondering, as a girl who rides a motorcycle, when are we going to see more girls riding motorcycles?
Here's the deal. I support that, and I honor that. However, I will say that, in all our research in terms of the MC clubs that we looked at, the outlaw clubs, what the women do is really doesn't involve what the club does in terms of the bike component. Not that they don't ride, but there was never a story point where that really made sense. So it's not like I'm doing it. I'm really just sort of sticking to the research that we've done on the life and not seeing a lot of that. Doesn't mean that it can't change, but up till now, that's really the deal. And she wants to wake this off.
Hello, I had a question for the source, or vessel, if you will, for Jack Teller. Over the course of the series, we watched all these different influences, control your decisions and things like that. So I wanted to ask, what drives you, if it's one thing or a number of things, and to what destination is that going to take you at the end of the journey?
I think much like myself, Jax is constantly on the precipice of total existential crisis. And I think that the club and his family give him a purpose and a reason for living and, purpose for his life. And I think it's just making sure that's as functional and as healthy as it can possibly be, And I think that the club to him is his greater good. And so making sure the club has a future means he has a future and a purpose.
I thought for sure you were going to ask, how come all the brothers get killed?
Thank you, man. Right on.